Hello, it's Andrine, a Jewish American priestess, and today I'm coming to you with a reading for the new moon of Tishrei, which is Rosh Hashanah, the new year, the head of the year, and this time of year, in this autumn time, when we're coming into the turning and the returning to ourselves and the returning to the divine. And today I'm going to do just a straight full spread reading. I'm going to shuffle up the letters in the bowl. I'm going to cast the entire lot down onto this copper bowl. And we'll take out all the ones that are face down, and then we'll read what's left over. And that will give us a sense of what's coming up, both for this month and possibly even for the coming year in itself. So let's just get started straight away. We're going to shuffle them. We know the way. All right, let's pull out everything that's face down in the reading. And let's see what we have left. So in the center-ish of our reading, it's a little bit above the center here, but it is the most central letter. We have the letter Pei. And I'll pull that up so we can see it a little closer. The letter Pei is the mouth of the divine. It's the mouth of divinity speaking the world into existence. And so perfect for this time of year because it is, in the beginning, Bereshit. And this is the face of the divine speaking those words out in the beginning. And it has this infinite spiral look to it. You can see it spirals in on itself and it spirals out. And if you look at the negative space, it looks a little bit like the letter Bet, which is the first letter of the word Bereshit, in the beginning. The letter Pei is the letter that's the number 80 in Gematria. So it has that sense of the infinity symbol within it, as well as that multiple of 10. So this ultimate manifestation of the infinite here coming to us right in the center of our reading today. It's saying a new beginning is spiraling. Time is spiraling in and out. And it is time to start something new and continue in that way that we do with the infinite spiral. Because time comes around again in the wheel of the year, but it's not, we don't come back to the exact same place where we started. We come back a little bit different. We are different. The circumstances are a little bit different. The dates are the same, but they also shift. The Gregorian calendar and the Hebrew calendar shift with each other. The letter Pei also corresponds to the binary transformation of grace and ugliness. In the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of creation, each of the letters is affiliated with either a foundation or a transformation. And Pei, being a letter that has two sounds, it has both the F sound and the P sound, has a transformation that goes from grace to ugliness. So that idea of beauty and not beauty, however we perceive it. And so for me, when I think about it, and in terms of a mouth speaking something into existence, I think about it in terms of a blessing and a curse. That we can curse the things we don't like in the world, but it is so much more productive and profitable to bless the things we would like to see into existence. So asking for what we'd like rather than telling people what we don't like. I mean, it's important to tell people what we don't like as well, but if we want to bring something into existence, it's important to call it forth, the thing that we'd like to see, rather than railing against the thing we don't want to see. Call for health rather than cursing illness. So when we're in this time of this manifestation of the infinite, creating reality with our words, the way the divine created the universe with words, it's important to speak that blessing. Think about our journey on the labyrinth. The Pei is also the one that rules over the planet Venus in the sky. So there's something about love here, speaking with love rather than speaking from a place of hate. And that's their central, most central letter in the reading. Let's see, where should we go from here? I think I'm going to go up. Up at the top, we have the letter Ayin. This is the number 70. It's way up here. And that would say that something, this positive is happening. This being above the line, saying the line goes through the center here. The most high letter in the reading is the letter Ayin. Ayin is the number 70. So it has this connotation of something coming to an end, an ultimate ending of a thing, and that would be the year, I'm guessing. Maybe there's something else in your life that's coming to an end as well. But 7 being the number of days of creation, and 10 times 7 being that ultimate ending of a thing. So we have this number 70 way up high. Additionally, the Ayin is the eye in the body. It's the eye of the divine watching over us. So knowing that we are being able to see our way forward, knowing that we are being watched over by divinity, knowing that something is coming to an end and it's a positive thing. Sometimes endings can be challenging, but whatever it is that's coming to this big ending right now, whether it be this year or something else in your life, know that it's a positive thing, even if it doesn't, we can't see it right now. The sight will come. Ayin rules over the day of the month of Tevet, which is later in the year, and the constellation of Capricorn. So that's coming up in December at the end of the Gregorian year. The Ayin is related to the foundation of laughter in the Sefer Yetzirah. And I like to think of this in terms of something is coming to an end, and ideally, even if it's challenging, we'll be able to see and laugh once it's over. And I think that's nice, the idea that once the punchline is told, we'll get the joke. Ayin is also affiliated with the tribe of Dan, which is affiliated with judgment, Dan meaning judgment. And so as we come into this time of the high holidays, there's a certain amount of judgment that goes on or is spoken about in services, and about judging who is going to live and who's going to die, etc., etc. But really, when it comes down to it, we need to be our own best judge of our character and know that what we're doing is righteous. And so this is the thing that's helping us the most right now, this big ending and this judgment that's coming in. Below that, again, up above the line, we have the letter Nun. The Nun is all the way over on its face. Generally, the Nun looks like this. It's a bent over or kneeling person, and it begins the word Ne'aman, which means humble. So since this one is completely upside down, it's really about inner humility, not performative humility. We're coming into a time of prostration, a time of repenting, for instance, for whatever transgressions we may have caused, harm that we've caused other people, disconnection with the divine. So now is a real good time to prostrate ourselves, to bow down low, to go into some sort of solitude perhaps. The Nun is the letter I affiliate with the Hermit card in Tarot. So this is a really good time to take time to really find that inner humility, to remain humble while we are coming to the end of this judgment time, and also make sure that it's an inner humility, that it's not about, again, performative humility. It's not about going out in public and showing your penitence. Some of our sources for this time of year, the readings are the divine asking, is this the fast that I desire, this weeping and gnashing of teeth and rending of your clothes in a public way? No. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to take care of our bodies. We need to know that we are, if we are repenting, that we're repenting in a way that's an inner repentance for ourselves, that we're actually getting some transformation out of it, and it's not just a show. So that's really up to right now. Right next for that is the Aleph, and the Aleph is lying on its back. The Aleph is this number 1. It's this crossroads where we come to a place of having to make a decision. Do we turn left? Do we turn right? Do we go forward? Do we go back? We have the divinity above and the divinity below, and this connection piece between, as well as division. The Aleph is the number 1. So it speaks to that oneness of the divine. And it's resting on its back. The Aleph is taking time to maybe take a back seat to humility almost. The Aleph is the letter that begins most of the divine names: El, El Elyon, Adonai, Elohim, and it also begins the word Adam and Adamah, meaning human or mud. So this connection between humanity and divinity, this connection between the above and the below, this connection between the unity of oneness and the multiplicity of the divine. That we have the letter Aleph meaning one, but if you change the vowel to Aleph, it means 1,000. So you have the oneness of the divine plus the multiplicity of the divine, that there's only one divinity, but there are millions and billions of faces of the divine. That everything we encounter in the world, in fact, is made up of divinity. So we can rest in that. We can sit back and watch that unfolding as we make the crossroads between where we are and where we're going, heading into the new year. We have a dalet. A dalet is the doorway. It is the letter that represents a doorway. And so it's about transformation. It's about walking through the liminal space from here to there. In a similar way that the Aleph is about that division and connection between humanity and divinity. We're walking between a place right now, between this year and next year. We're walking between where we are right now and where we're going to be. And it's almost like a birth, and it's almost like a death. And they could be seen as a similar thing. So we're looking at this delta, or this dalet. And I say delta because it's the same letter. Basically, if you look at it this way, it looks like a triangle, sort of. And it's got that sense of that it's the delta of Venus, that birth canal, through which we all pass as humans as we come into the world. So this is a doorway, and we're stepping through it right now as we head to the end of the year into 5785, which is the number of the year coming up. And we have next to it the Yud, which is the smallest of all the letters. And it's the letter that's affiliated with the month of Elul that we are exiting right now. It's that seed that we've planted, that period of time where we've been sitting in contemplation and focusing on the smallest of things. The Yud is the smallest of all the letters, and yet it contains everything in it, like a seed or a sperm. It's the foundation of sexuality. It's the foundation of creation in that way that it's the first letter of the divine name, the Yud He Vav He, which is the letter, which is the name of the divine, which is a contraction of the verb to be in the past, present, and future, sort of becoming. So this seed, which has the potential for everything in it, is becoming, and it is here right at the center line as well. These are the things that are up right now for us. As we head below the center line, we have the Ein Sof. And the Ein Sof is the infinite. It is that blank substrate, the letter that is no letter, the letter that existed before time and will continue to exist after time. It has this concept of the infinite potential as well. And I love that it's underneath the ground here. We have the seed that's up right now in this place, this doorway, which is like birth and death, and then below this is the surface, this is the earth, this is the ground. So this is the void and that timelessness and the primordial chaos that happened before the speaking of Bereshit in the beginning, that where the divine hovered above the nothingness, the Tehom, the deep. And this is sitting here right underneath the surface. So that's what we've got going on just below all this activity that's happening up here with the speaking and the seeing and the humility and the doorway and the seed planting. We've just got this depth underneath this Tehom. And it's just sitting here holding us in a way of making space that we can walk through into the new year. just below that we have the letter tzadi, and it's sort of face down. Here it is. I'll hold it up for you. The tzadi is the letter that means justice or righteousness. It's the first letter of the word tzedek or tzadik. And it's face down underneath and below the line. So I'm going to read this a couple different ways. One is that there's been an upheaval of justice in this past year. That perhaps there has been something that's below the surface that we're still wrestling with. But there's also an inner fear around injustice that's happening in the world. So take that however it resonates for you. One thing I like about tzadi is if you look at it, it looks a little bit like a nun. It's really bent over with a yud at its back. We've got the nun and the yud up here as well. This is putting those two together. So with tzadi, we have humility with divinity at its back. And perhaps we haven't been appropriately humble, either us personally or us in the world, and we haven't really felt the divine at our back because this is upside down below the line. So now might be a really good time to contemplate how we sit with justice and righteousness. It's also the first letter of the word tzedakah, which means, it's translated often as charity, but I think of it as mutual aid. And this is a time of year where a lot of people do give to charity or think of ways of giving back to others in the world in order to help them through this challenging time of trying to reconcile their behavior with the new year coming in. So perhaps this is a good time for you to consider what kind of tzedakah, what can you give back to the world right now? How can you find yourself in a place of humility with divinity at your back in order to write the tzadi in this reading as we're trying to contemplate how this fits in with us. I'm going to cough, so excuse me. Way over here on the right, we have the letter He. Again, slightly below the line, but pretty close to what I would consider a center line. We have the He, and the He is the letter that means Hineni, presence, here I am. And it has this sense of just showing up and being there, sitting, perhaps meditation, again, with that idea of humility and the hermit up here. Being available, though, for service, showing up when the divine calls your name and asks, where are you? You say, Hineni, here I am, available and ready for service. So again, beneath the surface is something calling you to service. The He is the letter that corresponds to the sense of sight in the Sefer Yetzirah. So again, about being able to see your way forward, like the ayin up there, but also action. It has that, it's the number 5, so it has the affiliation with the 5 fingers on the hand. So maybe it's time to take some action, to show up and say, here I am, ready for service, available, and find a way to create action in your world, being able to see what is right for you by just sitting with yourself and listening into the divine. The He is 2 of the 4 letters of the divine name, Yod He Vav He. So it's as if the presence is doubly important. The presence, which is also the divine presence known as Shekhinah. So there's something really important about sitting, taking time to sit in humility, sit and contemplate justice, sit in that infinite space of the Ein Sof, that without end. That's over here on the far right. And then below that, we've got this cluster of 3. Interesting cluster because on the right side, we have the Samech, which is like a wheel. It's a little bit like a circle. And it's about being surrounded and protected, but it's also about boundaries and maybe a little agitation. It's the foundation of agitation in the Sefer Yetzirah. It's got that little thorn in the upper left corner, and that thorn, in the Proto-Hebrew, the Samech looked like a thorn. So it has this idea of setting up good boundaries that maybe have a little bit of a thorn in them. So while we're sitting with all of this, we're doing good boundary work, setting up good boundaries for ourselves, maybe for others as well. Feeling the agitation coming from that yud, from the divine in the upper corner, telling us that maybe we need to do more to protect ourselves, maybe to surround others also with protection, to take care of those that are under our care, under our sphere of influence. So Samekh is here saying the wheel of the year is turning, but we need to make sure that we are appropriately protected under the circumstances. And next to that we have the letter Beit, completely upside down. The Beit is the letter that represents a house or a home. And, it can be a house or a building or a synagogue even, but it also can be wherever it is we dwell. And so that could be our bodies. Maybe we're dwelling inside of our bodies wherever we go, or the planet, the larger home of all of us. And since this is upside down, way below the line, I'm guessing that there's been some, again, not good care of our bodies, not good care of our homes, our planet. That this is upside down and needs to be righted. The Beit is also the first letter of the word Bereshit, in the beginning, the first letter of Torah. So it's about new beginnings. It's the number 2. So we've got Aleph, number 1, and Beit, number 2, way down on the opposite corner here. So there's something here about taking care of ourselves, taking care of our home, taking care of where we live, our bodies, our earth, our planet. Something has been flipped over on its head, and it's way below the line, and maybe there just hasn't been enough protection with the Samekh here to help where we live be safe. And lowest on the reading, the very lowest, is the letter Chet. The letter Chet is the letter that begins the word Chai, meaning life, but also Choshek, meaning darkness. And where it shows up in Torah the very first time is in the word Choshek. So that's sort of significant that darkness is the first representation of the letter Chet. And it's important to balance those two, that darkness doesn't mean bad and is the opposite of life. Darkness is part of life. Life and death are both part of life, just like all the binaries, just like beauty and ugliness are part of life. So we have Chet way down here at the bottom of our reading saying that there's something that is under the ground, something that is in darkness right now. And perhaps it is that sense that we haven't been able to care for our bodies, that we haven't set up good protection around our home. And the way to flip these, the way to right the ones that are down below the line, is to go back up to the top here. See our way forward. Speak what we'd like to see in the world with the Pei. Sit in humility inside ourselves. Find the balance between heaven and earth, between above and below, between the divine and the human. Step through the doorway. Plant the seeds that we need to plant into the Tehom, into the earth, into that substrate. So as we're sitting here, as we're heading toward Rosh Hashanah, this is our reading. Speak words of beauty. Speak words of blessing. Find your humility. Know that you're being watched over by the divine and that you can see your way forward. That we find that balance between above and below as we enter the crossroads, as we pass through that doorway. We find our seed. We sit with that contraction of becoming. Was, is, will be. That the infinite is here underneath, underlying everything. That we need to show up and remain present. And these are the ways that we're going to turn over the tzadi, right justice, that we will be able to take care of our earth justice, that darkness that's underneath it all isn't a bad thing. We need to balance it with a chai, with life, and surround ourselves with protection. So, beautiful reading for the Rosh Hashanah, new moon of Tishrei. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you have a beautiful Lashana Tova, Tikatevu. May you be written in the book of life. May you be sealed for a good year. And I will look forward to seeing you here next time.